Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to create a superhero version of yourself. Now we're going to be using Pixlr again today, and I'm going to Pixlr E because it gives us slightly more tools to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up an image of myself in a superhero pose. Now this is an image I've found, but it's probably best practice for you to find, make your own one or find something online that you like. So here's a picture of a superhero pose. And what we're going to do, we're going to be using our layers to add some detail. And then in another video, I'm going to show you how to actually do something in the background as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is simply add a layer. Okay, I'm just going to add an empty layer to my work. And just like we've talked about before, when we're clicking on whatever layer we're clicking on is the one we're adding detail to. So I'm going to be using my layer 2 to add detail to my picture, which prevents me from damaging this one. So this is we're using this as a bit like tracing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding a fairly simple costume. So I'm just going to grab my brush tool. I'm going to choose a color down here. I'm going to go with yellow. I think yellow is pretty good. So this is the color I'm choosing. And click OK. And then I can zoom in if I want to by using this just to get a bit better. So I'm going to try and do. I want to try and do a sort of a costume. Now I do like this bit here, so I'm going to keep that. You can change also the size of the brush up here, and whether it's got a hard edge or a soft edge. So I'm going to make it 20 with a harder edge. So now I should be able to draw. So I'm sort of using the picture as a bit like tracing, and any bits I don't want, I don't need to worry about because I can delete those later. Because I don't want that baggy part of the t-shirt, because we're actually doing a superhero. So normally superheroes, of course, have got slightly tighter costumes. So I'm going to keep this up to here, and here. All the way around to there. So you sort of have to imagine slightly maybe what the shape is. And once you've got the outline, then of course we can use the fill tool to help us out. So I'm going to just do this. And remember, when you're using the fill tool, you have to make sure you've got a complete shape. You can use the fill tool and click fill, and there you go. You've got that little line you still have to deal with. And that's something where we're going to go back to this, and then you can just go and fix that a little bit. But for the most part, it makes it just a little bit easier. So I know that's quite a block bit of color, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just quickly add a few more bits of blocks of color, and then I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Okay, so I've done my top. I'm just going to add a few more blocks of color, and then we'll carry on. Move down a little bit, so I'm going to add a bit of color down here. So I'm going to choose different color for the trousers. I think I'm going to be quite traditional and go with black. Here. It doesn't matter if you're not perfect on it. If you make a mistake, undo. I just did Control Z, or you can go up here to go Edit, Undo. You make a little mistake. Now, it's important that I need to go across the knees here, otherwise it isn't a complete shape. And again, I can use my fill tool to fill that in, and then I can get my brush tool just to finish those bits off that don't quite fill in. So now we've got this bit done. We've got a sort of basics of a superhero costume. You now can have, so you've got some choices about adding detail to this costume. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to muck up what I've done here, I'm quite happy with what I've got. I'm actually going to add another layer. Add an empty layer. I'm going to put it above, and so now I'm going to be able to add things on top of this. So for example, if you wanted to add a symbol or belt and things like that, so we're just going to do that as well. I'm going to go here. I'm going to choose some red. I'm going to click OK. Red needs to be here. This is the color, remember, we're picking. Red. So now I can use a similar tool. I think I'm going to still stick with brush 20. So now I can actually put a symbol of some description on the shirt. Often you have a symbol, don't you? And also I've now got space because I can actually do a belt. It's just to add some detail in. Now this is not going over, and I'll show you what I mean by this in a second. this is separate to layer 1. So if I click here to delete, hide the layer, so I can actually take different parts of the layers off. So that way the detail has been added on different layers. What you can also start doing, and this is something I want you to start consider, is you can also start adding some extra detail onto it, like shading, to make it more realistic. Now you could add the shading to layer 3 or even to layer 2, or you could add the shading as a completely new layer. I'm going to add it as a completely new layer just to show you how we can build layers up. Now what I want to do, I'm going to select a color. If you just hover over with the color picker, hover over anything, you can select the color. I want to make it a bit darker. So this is where you can move this around, and you'll see at the top if it goes darker, that's lighter. So darker this way. Make it a bit darker. Okay. I'm going to choose this much smaller brush. So I'm going to make it about 10. It was on 20. In fact, I do 20, but I'm going to make it a bit fuzzier. And then what we can do is, if we imagine for a minute that we've got light coming from sort of this direction, so then we're going to put some shading in underneath. And making sure that you can actually see, yeah, I don't think it's quite dark enough. So I'm just going to make that, so that's a bit darker. Do that again. So now you can put a little bit of shading in, and that will just give you the illusion that the actual costume's got some shape. You can do a bit of shading over here as well. Just adding that extra little bit of colour, and it should give it a little bit of extra depth. And you can do that all over the costume just to give it a little bit of extra depth. So that's it all for today. What I'd like to see is you find a image, ideally of yourself, and then add your own superhero costume to it with as much detail as possible, using as many layers as you need. Probably 2 or 3 would be appropriate. And then we're going to look next week at how we can change the background. Okay, and that will be a different video. Thanks a lot.